In 218 BC, the Roman Empire, at its zenith, stood as the unrivaled power of the ancient world. But in the shadow of its glory loomed a threat unlike any the empire had faced before, a military genius named Hannibal Barca. Carthage, Rome's bitter rival, was the source of this threat, and Hannibal, the son of the famed general Hamilcar Barca, was determined to avenge his father's defeats in the First Punic War. What followed would be a series of daring campaigns and revolutionary military tactics that would bring Rome to the edge of destruction. Hannibal's genius was not only in his ability to fight battles, but in how he thought about war. His first major move in the Second Punic War, which began in 218 BC, shocked the world. Rather than attacking Rome directly or assaulting its fortified cities, Hannibal chose to bring the war to Italy itself. In one of the boldest military feats in history, he led an army, including war elephants, across the Alps, a journey that cost him thousands of soldiers, but forever changed the nature of warfare. As Hannibal's army descended into Italy, it left the Romans stunned. The Roman Senate had never considered the possibility of an invasion from the north through the Alps. Hannibal's audacity shook their confidence, and his actions soon became legendary. Rome had not faced such an enemy, a leader who could both inspire his troops and challenge the very essence of Roman military superiority. Hannibal's army, while less equipped and smaller in number than Rome's, proved devastating. The Carthaginian general understood that victory in war did not come merely from superior forces or brute strength, but from the application of intelligence, psychology, and unpredictability. Hannibal's initial successes were based on his ability to outthink his Roman counterparts. He avoided direct confrontation with superior Roman numbers and instead focused on flexibility and speed. He understood the importance of surprise, and with every victory, he grew bolder. The first significant clash between Hannibal and the Roman legions occurred at the Battle of Trebia in 218 BC. The Roman commander, Tiberius Sempronius Longus, thought he had the advantage with superior numbers, but Hannibal, ever the tactician, lured the Romans into a trap. He baited them into attacking, only to surround them with his cavalry and infantry, crushing them in a textbook pincer maneuver. The result was a devastating defeat for Rome, with thousands of Roman soldiers lost. However, it was at the Battle of Cannae in 216 BC that Hannibal's tactical brilliance would be fully realized. At Cannae, Hannibal faced a Roman force almost twice the size of his own. The Romans, under the command of consuls Lucius Aemilius Paulus and Gaius Terentius Varro, were confident that their numbers would carry them to victory. But Hannibal had anticipated this arrogance. His plan was both bold and audacious. He arranged his forces in a concave formation, with his strongest units placed at the center and his weaker troops positioned on the flanks. As the battle began, the Romans pressed forward, lured into the false belief that they were breaking through the Carthaginian lines. But Hannibal's flanks, which initially appeared weak, began to envelop the Roman forces. The Carthaginian cavalry, led by the brilliant Hasdrubal, swept around the Roman flanks, and the center, which had initially appeared to be collapsing, began to pull the Roman forces inwards. What followed was a massacre. The Roman legions, overwhelmed by Hannibal's strategic brilliance, were encircled and destroyed. The Romans suffered over 50,000 casualties, a loss so staggering that it left Rome reeling. The psychological impact of Cannae was immense. Rome, which had never experienced a defeat of such magnitude, found itself shaken to its core. In the aftermath of Cannae, Hannibal had the opportunity to march on Rome itself, but he chose not to. This decision remains one of the most debated in military history. Instead of attacking Rome directly, he chose to continue his campaign of attrition, systematically undermining Roman power. He ravaged the Italian countryside, destroying Roman supply lines and forcing the Romans into a defensive posture. However, Rome was far from defeated. The Senate, despite the crushing losses, adopted a new strategy. They turned to the Fabian strategy, named after the consul Fabius Maximus, who refused to engage Hannibal in open battle. Instead, Fabius used a war of attrition, cutting off Hannibal's supply lines and harassing his troops. While this strategy was not without its critics, many Romans believed it was cowardly. Over time, it began to wear Hannibal down. But it was not just the Fabian strategy that would eventually lead to Hannibal's decline. The Roman general Publius Cornelius Scipio, later known as Scipio Africanus, would learn from Hannibal's tactics and use them against him. Scipio's campaign in Spain weakened Carthaginian power, and by 202 BC, he had gained enough strength to confront Hannibal in North Africa. The two forces finally met at the Battle of Zama in 202 BC. Hannibal, who had once been invincible, was now facing a formidable opponent who had studied his every move. The battle itself was a mixture of Roman discipline and Carthaginian flexibility, but ultimately it was Scipio's ability to adapt and counter Hannibal's tactics that led to his victory. Hannibal's forces were decisively defeated, and Carthage was forced to sue for peace. Though Rome emerged victorious in the Second Punic War, Hannibal's tactics left an indelible mark on history. His use of terrain, surprise, and psychological warfare set the stage for future military leaders. His ability to outmaneuver a larger, more powerful enemy was a testament to the power of intelligence over brute strength. Even in defeat, Hannibal's genius was recognized. The Romans, while victorious, were forced to study and understand the very strategies that had nearly brought them to their knees. The legacy of Hannibal's war tactics extends far beyond the battlefields of ancient Rome. His military strategies would influence countless future generals, from Napoleon Bonaparte to modern military theorists. Hannibal proved that war was not simply about having the largest army, but about understanding your enemy, exploiting weaknesses, and adapting to the ever-changing nature of battle. His use of the pincer movement at Cannae became a textbook example of how to encircle and destroy an enemy, and his ability to adapt his tactics based on the battlefield was a lesson that many military leaders would take to heart. Even today, Hannibal's tactics are studied in military academies around the world, a testament to the enduring power of his strategic mind. In the end, Hannibal's war tactics represented a new approach to warfare, one that emphasized flexibility, intelligence, and psychological warfare. Rome, the empire that had once been invincible, had learned the hard way that even the mightiest can fall when faced with a master strategist. Hannibal's legacy, though marred by defeat, lives on as one of the greatest military minds in history. He was a man who defied the odds, who made the impossible seem possible, and who changed the way the world fought wars. Today, over 2 millennia later, his tactics continue to inspire and inform military leaders, proving that the genius of one man can change the course of history.